Raw's Netflix debut is tonight. I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture. He's Michael Hampler from WhatCulture, and we're here to tell you what needs to happen, starting with the return of Becky Lynch.
Yeah. Look, the women's title is on the line. It's Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. Whoever wins is virtually guaranteeing themselves a pretty prominent role in WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Whoever loses will become an instant favourite to possibly win the Royal Rumble. That's the magic of what they've got, I think, with Liv and Rhea one more time. Done incredibly well to drag it out to January, considering that this story was starting to feel finished by the end of the summer. But Becky Lynch potentially inserting herself into business as soon as the match concludes, or maybe even as part of the match, is just, I was going to say the icing on the cake, but it's the second or third cherry to join the other cherries on the icing of a cake that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger the more you cut through. It's one of them things where it's like, is it a cake? Yes, it's a cake. And the layers just keep going and going and going and going and going when you cut to this Netflix.
It's a cake I'm going to spend 3 hours eating.
And then I'll probably it's Netflix. Are you sure you want to keep eating this cake? Yes, please. Becky Lynch returning. Again, it's something WWE have held on to. After the speculation sort of died that she wasn't going to re-sign, I think we all kind of knew that the money was in that Becky Lynch return. It's one of the few things as well that we're going to talk about here that feels like a complete surprise. Like some of the things we're talking about, speculating on what a certain wrestler might do or how a match finish or things like that. Not Becky Lynch. She's not been advertised. WWE have been if she does return, been quite disciplined in saving her pop as one of the few surprise ones on that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the Rock's going to be there, Hogan's going to be there, Logan Paul's going to be there. We know all about that. We'll get to the Rock in a little while. But Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair. I mean, we're saying Becky Lynch. We're assuming Becky Lynch. Yeah. They could completely flip the script and have someone like Charlotte Flair, because it seems like she's going to be returning on this road to WrestleMania, on this big launch of them on Netflix, of course. I don't know whether Becky involves herself in the match even, because I'm all right in thinking it's last woman standing. Yeah. So she could. You've got so many different factors going into this, because, like you say, Liv and Rhea is sort of a legacy feud for 2024, and you think this is going to be the thing that's like, right, let's draw a line under it. Here's the world champion going forward as we head towards WrestleMania 41. That might not be the case. You've got, yes, Rhea wanting revenge, but Becky wants revenge just as much against Liv Morgan. She's got a history with Rhea Ripley as well. What's going on with the Judgment Day? They're falling to pieces. Yep. Raquel Rodriguez, what's in that look there as well? I cannot call this whatsoever, but what I would love to see is a return for Becky Lynch. And yes, I know they've got more than enough mega stars propping up this show already, but they're just going to cram more in, you feel. I hope so anyway.
All of the conversation, somewhat understandably, I think has been around the Night 1 and Night 2 WrestleMania main events, based on the multiple different cards that seem to be floating around because of the multiple different stars and indeed the potential involvement of The Rock and what it is he might wants to do. It's kind of all of our collective failings, perhaps, along with Triple H's when it comes to booking the women's division, that we've not really considered that some of the women on this show might actually want to be fighting for those spots themselves. Becky Lynch will be one, Rhea Ripley will be another. That match itself is something that was big enough to open a WrestleMania, which in itself is quite a prestigious spot. So as you say, the history of going back with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch probably feels like she wants to try again with Liv Morgan when that program never really sprung to life a couple of years ago. These are people, you mentioned Charlotte Flair, these are people with just as much pride in their performance as many of the male wrestlers that are jockeying for position. And in spite of that loaded top of the card in the men's division, it would be foolish to just completely rule out some of these women trying for those spots themselves. The competition makes things better, and Becky Lynch will immediately mix things back up in that regard. Get hyped.
We know a legend is going to be on this show, though, but enough about Logan Paul. John Cena's going to be there as well. It's the start of his farewell tour. Yeah. It's going to be a hell of a year if you're a fan of John Cena. I can't really call what's going to happen with him regarding world titles, but one would assume he's got a big announcement set for tonight's show. Yes.
You mentioned world titles, and I think that's how they should treat this entire John Cena run. I don't want John Cena to spend his whole year doing Austin Theory, happy to be here matches. Look, John Cena is the one wrestler that can simply put over the prestige of, I can't believe I get to work No Mercy one last night. He's the one guy that you can buy doing things like that. But I don't think that's the way you maximise his value. No. It is great that towns that are currently advertising, I'm thinking of the likes of Toronto for Elimination Chamber, getting to say, look, John Cena coming to your town potentially for the very last time. That's absolutely a smart drawing card for WWE. But in order to make this year, and we cannot forget that, a 1 year long run make the most sense and make the most money, which is ultimately what everything WWE is trying to do at the moment, as it always should be. You want to have John Cena talking about world titles, talking about the last things he's never done. He wants to win one more Royal Rumble. Why? Because that's one more WrestleMania main event. He probably wants to win the Intercontinental title because it's something he's never done. But I would sort of get to that later in the year as a final achievement. We are in WrestleMania season, and John Cena should be just like everybody else.
Yeah, and just to clarify, this isn't us saying that John Cena should be in lots of world title matches in 2025. That just should be his aim. And you can have a bit like Cody when he got screwed out of WrestleMania 39. Like, right, I want to get back to world title. Oh, I've got this tangent over here. Right, I've sorted that one out. Back to, oh, bollocks, there's another. So that's what you do. You have him, I think tonight should be about him announcing his participation in the Royal Rumble. I'm go back and forth on how many people should be confirmed for the Royal Rumble before we go into February 1st. But John Cena, and we all know he's going to be in it anyway, but he's also someone who can justify saying, I'm in the Rumble. I don't have to have a qualifier or any of that bollocks. It's John Cena's last year. They say you get a Royal Rumble spot and he wants to prove himself in there. That's where you can have him set up some storylines for the entire year, who eliminates him, because I don't think he's winning the Royal Rumble, to be perfectly honest. But then that's another justification for him to say, all right, didn't win the Rumble, but the Chamber's right there, so I'll get myself into that. Maybe that's another way that he has to beat someone to qualify to get into that. That's another storyline to set up for him. But yeah, I think the overarching thing should be not just a big, lovely to be here thing for John Cena in 2025. He's got goals he wants to achieve. He's got matches we all kind of want to see him in before the year is out. And you don't have to have him say, I'd love to face these people on this checklist, but we can indicate that he is going to fight Gunther, for example, at some point in 2025. But yeah, tonight for me should be him getting a huge reaction, of course, but saying, I'm in the Rumble, quickly followed personally by Logan Paul saying, so am I.
I wouldn't mind that, like an immediate rival that you've set up a little bit of beef with John Cena for that match itself. Everyone should want to be in there with John Cena. That's the prestige of a guy like John Cena. But yeah, it doesn't hurt for him to have little, like, sort of intra-rivalries within that Rumble. Should always keep coming back to last. John Cena's going to work his last Royal Rumble. He's going to work his last WrestleMania. That's not just to sell a ticket.
No.
Like, try and really preserve the truth and the importance of that. Like, I would even argue that WWE, especially with it being the Netflix debut tonight, I don't know if you're aware of that. It's actually the first Raw Netflix tonight. Break with tradition. Don't hang that WrestleMania sign up at the Rumble. Hang it up now.
Yeah.
Have the wrestlers walking out for this, I don't know, potentially massive audience. Who knows? Like, lapsed fans, casual fans don't know what's going to be coming back in for this. But at bare minimum, the wrestlers themselves that are entering into sort of WWE around WrestleMania season feel like one of the strongest lids they've ever had. Hang that sign up tonight. Like, have John Cena be the first one to point at it and just be like, oh, did you forget like who's kicking around this WrestleMania season? Like, there's so many wrestlers that could benefit. CM Punk pointed at it before it existed a few weeks ago. Nobody is making any secret of how much they want those spots, and just put the visual signifier up there straight away for anybody that's locking in for this time of year, which, you know, even when WWE was terrible, should be the most exciting time. But now that it's absolutely roasting friggin' hot, like, just absolutely celebrate that fact as much as possible.
Opening the show with a promo for old time's sake.
Oh, do I want that? I don't know. I'm not sure if I've still got some sort of like PTSD from some of those senior years, but like if there was ever a time to do it, why not, I suppose.
Oh, maybe Triple H. He doesn't really like the spotlight, but maybe on this one occasion he could open the
I've got my own pitch for show opening, but I think me and you are going to get into a shoot fight about that later on this video.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll come on to that.
Well, one man who could face John Cena on this farewell tour is, of course, Penta.
Oh my God.
That's what I want to see.
My God.
Look, there's been incredibly subtle teasers for Zero. What does that mean? This guy, he's awesome, and he's obviously going to be showing up on WWE very, very soon. So why not on the biggest show of the year, the one with the most audience? Penta debuts tonight. I don't know whether he beats someone up or he just shows up and kicks someone's ass and wins a match that's fairly straightforward or what, but I can't wait to see him in a WWE ring.
Here's a one for you. So there has been a lot of cynical but kind of exciting predictions that Penta will be Rey Mysterio's partner to take on the New Day.
Of course.
Because Triple H sure likes to gather people together of same ethnicities, and it like immediately plays to that joke when you were seeing the Lucha Brothers getting signed with like, get ready to wear your LWO t-shirts, guys. And like it's like a sad reality of like kind of like some of Triple H's booking tendencies. I want them to lean into that and then swerve everybody. Have Penta debut as Rey Mysterio's partner and then turn on him and break his arm. Like, yes! One of the biggest things I think we lost, and it maybe doesn't get discussed enough because the Lucha Brothers run at times was awesome in AEW, for me, was when he was still like good enough to go at that level was that Penta singles run. I'm not sure he ever truly recovered from Cody kind of like shaking off the arm breaker in AEW as a singles wrestler. And I don't know, maybe it was just never in the plans for him to be a singles guy, but it was certainly something when AEW launched where he thought, yeah, Lucha Brothers are going to be awesome as a team, but Phoenix and Penta as singles guys was never really explored in a very satisfying way. Lucha Underground is not something I consider myself an expert of, but I could not take my eyes off Penta and Lucha Underground. A terrifying presence, such an amazing heel. And yes, one of these days, and this day could be starting today, WWE will monetize the hell out of Penta. There is so much you can do with Penta from the off. It's like, in a way now, probably the perfect time for him to get this kind of money run. Penta versus Rey Mysterio as a way to get him over as just one of the scariest heels, a clear and present danger that goes beyond how they book most of their luchador wrestlers, I think would be absolutely amazing. And it kind of like gives the New Day the dirtiest, cheapest first TV win as like a team of heels on television as well.
I was going to say...
they're off to the races, they're off and running, and they've done it. Like Rey Mysterio's there with a broken arm. Penta's just shocked the world and go for, all right, like looks the leg. Like, New Day! Yeah.
I don't know how... See, before you said that, I really like it, because before you said that, I was going to say, and I don't know how much time we're going to have on this show for extra matches that's not already been advertised, to be perfectly honest. We've not even got time to talk about Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre, for example. But I would love, in either this show or the next show, one of the first matches for the New Day, as this, because we've had them do promos, but we haven't had them really be like, here's what we're going to look like as a team. Still holding that candle for Big E, baby. Yeah. Always will be. So maybe tonight is not the match, because you do have to start advertising. It's not just this week.
No.
I do like the idea of them using this as a thing to say, don't forget to tune in next week, by the way.
Rumours of Goldberg in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think, like stuff they're trying to save, obviously.
So I was going to suggest they beat up Ray and Penta makes the save to set up the match for next week. But then again, I also really like first night. You think I've not got any friends? Well, I've got this guy. He's not my friend. He's broken my arm. Didn't see that one coming, but I think Penta is going to be huge. I like the idea of him as a heel as well. I think you're right. I mean, fans will love him regardless. But
I just want the singles run. I really want to just have a look at Penta as a singles run, North American mainstream singles.
You got Ray Phoenix in the pocket, haven't you, for whenever that gets sorted out, basically.
Yeah.
And then it's not just that to look forward to. There's of course CM Punk versus Seth freaking Rollins. I'm so freaking excited, Andy Murray. I'm being well behaved because I was going to swear there because I'm really bloody excited for this. You and I differ, I think, on who wins this.
Yeah, I'm fantasy booking, but really all of this is a complete fantasy of mine, this whole thing. I'm going to go with Seth Rollins to beat CM Punk, but I do that on the basis that CM Punk has been told he's winning the Royal Rumble, and, this is... We talk about the competitive element of this main event crew of wrestlers at the moment and the jockeying for the positions of the big Mania spots and things like that. Seth Rollins has spent a lot of his WWE career sort of begrudgingly accepting that he's far more of a main event gatekeeper than an actual bona fide main eventer, and I think winning here almost speaks to that. He gets to beat CM Punk, and there is that sense of validation that the booking team have gone with him and they've trusted that he will be believable as somebody that can beat CM Punk when CM Punk is currently feeling like somebody that wants to be the guy in 2025. But in terms of politically arriving at that point, it feels like it would have to come with the promise of a bigger win down the line. Punk winning the Royal Rumble obviously would be huge for WrestleMania, because then you at least know that he's in one of those spots, presuming that he doesn't get hurt or the usual kind of Punk caveats, Yeah. It's so hard to visualise a scenario in which Punk loses this match, and I will be jumping for joy if he wins, but I just like having the sort of the other permutations and the other ways to sort of build the suspense around all those 2 counts, to build the possibility of what happens to a CM Punk should he lose to Seth Rollins. That first almost, this would be the first thing that would almost put him in check. He's come back, he's talked a good game, he's got injured, he's talked a better game, and then he's defeated a monster in Drew McIntyre, the man that put him out. This would theoretically be like an even bigger setback. Like at some point, CM Punk will make the greatest heel you've ever goddamn seen, but he's not finished playing the greatest babyface you've ever seen. And WWE like a bit of an obstacle, a little bit of a setback before they get back. And Punk getting it done at the Rumble, I think, and pointing at the sign and doing all the things that you described as this kind of this make good for what will now be like going on 11 years of like bitterness about not getting that spot. If you think about it, it was the Royal Rumble where that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and that in itself, as well as the WrestleMania main event, feels like something he's got to do. Winning the Royal Rumble is on his list in like a lower way, but in much the same way as the WrestleMania main event. So I'm going with Seth. I got absolutely no problem if Punk gets it done either.
I was going to say, I love that booking, but I don't care any about that bollocks, because I want CM Punk to win and to go on to win the Royal Rumble. Like you say, look, I think this is going to be a huge year for CM Punk, and if you're a fan of CM Punk, it's going to be very, very exciting. And a little bit nerve-wracking considering who we're about to talk about with regard to the WrestleMania main event. But I wouldn't mess about now. Look, I love Seth Rollins. I don't really know where he factors into my WrestleMania plans, but I think he's going to have a prominent spot regardless. I'd just have CM Punk win. I think you have him win. You have him walk back even through Gorilla, past Roman Reigns perhaps, past someone else who's going to be showing up on this show, past John Cena and past Gunther, because that's kind of the match I think I want to see most of all at WrestleMania. As much as Punk Cody is going to feed families for decades, whenever we finally get around to that, I think Gunther versus CM Punk is the most logical way to go, but when has logic ever factored into this sort of thing? Plus, I still think you can do stuff with Seth and the Rumble, because I think you can have this be the catalyst for him to be like, he's done me, like he's beaten me. Right, well, there's only one thing for it. I have to be the person to eliminate him from the Royal Rumble. I want to win the Royal Rumble, but more than anything, I want to make sure CM Punk doesn't win. He becomes infatuated with that thing, and that costs him, because he's not looking everywhere at the Royal Rumble, and Drew McIntyre's there going, yeah, I know that feeling, mate. He's a bit of a twat, isn't he? So it's just part of the spiralling of Seth yet again, and a kick-off to a brilliant year for CM Punk.
All the more reason why I think Seth should win. How would Seth Rollins react if Punk wins the Rumble and then he's off the way to WrestleMania and he's like, I beat you.
Yeah.
I've got my arms out now because I want to do double mana for all of this. But Seth Rollins' rising bitterness and the prospect of him linking up with Drew McIntyre down the line, coming off the back of a win. Obviously, CM Punk is like, I won. Like, that's the point of this, isn't it? Like, if you get to win, do you not get the last word? And it turns out the last word's the Rumble. Like,
Sorry.
Just that rising bitterness, that rising anger. Sorry, you got me thinking about Punk walking back through. And like to the next thing we're going to talk about. I believe this will main event the show as well. To that point,
I think they could open the show with this. Like, just go. Starting the show is CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Stick around, because we've got all this other stuff to go.
Off the back of a defeat, would it not then behoove CM Punk to want to call in a favour from Paul Heyman, which he still has outstanding?
Maybe. I like that as well. It's all so up in the air. That's what I like really the most about this show tonight. But of course, we have tribal combat. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. Who leaves as the tribal chief? Who wears the Ulafala? Couldn't care less about that, because The Rock's back, ladies and gentlemen. He said he's going to be there. He's banged on about Samoan stuff and the big PowerPoint presentation he did in Las Vegas last year, of course. This year, of course. No, last year.
No, last year,
I get confused what year we're in. It doesn't matter, because every year's The Rock's year, because he's the best, and he's going to the main event of WrestleMania. Bollocks all your favourites. He's the best, and he deserves to main event this show. But how does he factor into it?
Well, we should start with a shout out to our friend of the channel, Backup Hangman, Reboot of Wrestle Purists, who is talking about firing Solo Sikoa pending a defeat to Roman Reigns, which feels like the way. It's hard to.
I love you, Dwayne.
It's part Jacob Fatu, part Forrest Gump there.
Yeah.
Everything's working on.
Yeah.
The prospect of Solo Sikoa winning is slim, but Paul Heyman's promo on SmackDown was interesting.
He had a red thing as well.
Yeah, it wasn't for nothing.
Wait, wearing that?
None of that stuff's for nothing, is it? Sooner or later, Paul Heyman turns heel. Sooner or later, Paul Heyman kind of returns to the position he's more familiar with. A defeat would be, for Roman Reigns, would be an absolute earthquake, I think, on the show. I think. And The Rock does change everything. We're back to the bad blood conversation. Back then, I argued for that going on last because you went with The Rock and you have Punk and Drew steal the show from underneath. This way, I'm arguing the other way. You open Netflix Raw with the biggest possible star, which you present as Roman Reigns / The The Rock. So like, and then Solo Sikoa's also there. But like Roman Reigns, like immediately, it's like the first music that hits or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like that match is like, and we're coming in hot. It's Roman Reigns, the biggest star, the longest serving WWE champion of all time, all that sort of stuff. The thing is, the Ula Fala is like as good as a title in some respects, but in WrestleMania season, which is what we're into, is not the title. You know, so like its status is minimised compared to some of the stuff that people are fighting for. So I do expect this to be huge, but it's really, really hard to see anywhere Solo Sikoa wins, other than a Paul Heyman screw job or this man's meddling. If he's not firing Solo Sikoa, he's helping the new bloodline, right? That can, like, it's always felt like The Rock has been the one pulling the most strings, and the idea of introducing the Tongans and just like Jacob Fatu's like unhinged side feels like it's more, right, it's Dwayne's Law now, we're doing things Dwayne's way, like we shouldn't have lost a title at WrestleMania, that sits in the lap of Roman Reigns, so I'll take control from here, all that kind of stuff. All of this is to say, maybe The Rock just decided yesterday he fancies working Raw, and nobody's even decided what he's going to do yet. This is like
bollocks!
Yeah, this is why there's all the conversations about the multiple WrestleMania cards and the ones with Rock, the ones without. We are now living through the Triple H Road to WrestleMania experience while he's actually trying to be proactive rather than reactive, with the most reactive man maybe ever in the history of the industry, with shares in the company and more stroke than anyone's ever had. It's amazing. It's like, doesn't really, it feels like a no-lose situation. You just wonder which win you'll end up getting.
I feel like we should mention, by the way, Cody Rhodes is on this show. Yeah. You know, the biggest star in all of wrestling.
Indeed.
How's that going to factor into The Rock showing up? Maybe it's that he involves himself in rather than tribal combat. But I would assume, I think, let's just keep it simple. As much as, yes, there's intrigue and where's Paul Heyman standing all of this? I think, keep it simple, I think the most obvious thing sometimes works the best, and that's Roman Reigns defeats Solo Sikoa. Paul Heyman puts the Ula Fala on him. Well, I guess that's sorted who the tribal chief is. Are you sure about that? Look, he's just the best, isn't he? I don't care about anyone else.
You mentioned
I can tear up every other WrestleMania card you've got because this guy's in the main event for me in Las Vegas. Oh my God.
Well, you mentioned Punk walking into Roman or whoever backstage. Rock and Cody having their first moment since the Raw after WrestleMania could be something, right? Couldn't it? Like your prediction that it was
both
like
got belts,
a Rumble ball. Like, I think he should be 31. You think he should be 30. But like basically saying, I'm winning that, mate. You can't do anything about it, and I'll come for your title if you've still got it. But then, what if he was to like tonight, like rip the Ula Fala off Roman Reigns as part of an attack? And what he reveals is that he handed over one of them red pieces to Cody, as if to say, like, never forget. You thought you'd beat the tribal chief last night. You didn't. It's me. It's always me. All that kind of stuff. So we will see. I thought I might just watch this in the morning. I'm obviously staying up late live, aren't I?
Yeah, it's 1 a.m. to stay up and watch this live now, aren't I?
Yeah.
Oh God, I cannot wait for this. So exciting. Let us know your thoughts.
That's all you have to do, and just rolls there.
Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your predictions in the comments, and make sure you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe, because we'll bring you all the fallout from this in the coming days. The biggest thing ever, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like that.
Until next week, probably.
Yeah.
But let us know, as I said, in the comments.
Tuesday, right?
Until New Year's Eve, most importantly, from NXT. But no, let us know your thoughts in the comments. And in the interim, whilst you're giddy with excitement like me and him, why not check out this video right here?